Now, also, what do we want to focus on? We want to focus on continuing the professionalism that you have all brought to your industry through this designation. Continuing professionalism. Always to be as good as you can be. How many of you have ever ridden with what I would call a professional taxi cab driver? Have you? I'll tell you, in my city where I live, San Francisco, everything is built up. As you probably know, there's no real estate. Nothing is built out. It's built up. And our front door is 56 steps from the street. Now, the bad news is when I call a taxi cab driver to take me out to the airport to go off and speak or whatever, they drive up, they see those steps. They're not coming up those 56 steps. They pull up in the driveway downstairs, and they just honk the horn. And I have to drag my bags down. I got up early one morning. I was going across the country, early flight. I called, and they said, well, cab will be there in a few minutes. Wasn't just a few minutes. It was instantaneous. Bam, the front doorbell rang. And I said to Bill, I said, honey, who could be here so fast? For heaven's sakes, it's so early. And I went to the top of those 56 steps. I opened the front door. There was a man standing there. I was shocked to see anybody. And let me tell you what he looked like. Gentlemen, do you remember when there was a time that you used to like to wear what we called polyester leisure suits? Green. Big fat wide tie, too short, couldn't tuck in his trousers. A little Irish cap on his head and a smile from ear to ear. And he says, good morning, I'm here to take you to the airport. I said, you're my cab driver? He said, I am indeed. Do you have any bags this morning? I said, yes. And I gave it to him, and he went down. Now, I got ready very quickly. I followed him down. I went down, and there was the cleanest cab you have ever seen. You could have eaten off of the trunk or the hood. He saw me coming. He rushes over. He opens the back door. I get in. He closes the door, and on the back seat next to me were 3 morning newspapers nicely lined up for me to read. And I thought, wow, this is really nice. He gets in the front, closes the door, puts his arm over the back seat, and with a big smile on his face, he said, you know, it's so nice to have you with me this morning. I was so shocked, I almost said, it's nice to be had. He said, shall we go now? I said, that'd be real nice. We're driving down the highway. He said, would you like to have a cup of coffee this morning? I said, I can't stop. I have a plane to make. He says, oh, no, you don't understand. He goes into the glove compartment. He comes out with 2 styrofoam cups. He takes one. He gives me one. And up off of the front seat, he's got a thermos of hot coffee. Now, I want to tell you, I don't like coffee. But my mother gave me good manners. If he's pouring, I'm drinking. He drops me off at the airport. That's a Tuesday. I'm out around the country doing my speeches during the week. On Friday, I'm not even back yet. He calls my office and he says to my assistant, Linda, he said, now, introduces himself, tells her his name is Frank, and he said, now let me say, next week, what airline is she taking? What time? If she has extra bags or boxes, not to worry. He said, I will be there to pick her up. Or if I'm off duty, I will make sure that somebody else is there. Not to worry. He said, I am now in charge of transportation. Linda said, excuse me? And you know what? For 2 years, I never called another cab. He was there every single time. In fact, in the beginning of our relationship, I started to take him a croissant to go with the coffee. Frank was so good. I got in the cab with him one morning. We've been riding together for about 6 months. And I said, Frank, you are so good. You have taken cab driving to the highest level of professionalism. What is your secret? And he said, well, I have several. I said, well, would you share? And he said, sure, let me give you the most important. He reaches into his wallet, opens it up, pulls out a 4x6 card. And he said, look, Sheila, I come in the morning. Before I leave to pick up my first customer, he says, I want to make sure I'm right on it, that I'm focused on what makes me good at what I do. And he showed me this list, and it looked like the checkoff list of a 757 airplane. He said, in the morning before I leave, to be sure, I get out that list every morning, and I look at it, and I check it off, check off those items, check it off, oops, check that one out, check it off, check it off, check it off, check it off. And I thought, Thank you, Lord. This is such an incredible example. Frank, you talk about accountability, responsibility. He was absolutely a pro. You know, and what was best of all about Frank? Frank was CEO of Frank. And wouldn't we all like to be CEO of us? You see, that's the key, building that professionalism